Hi, all. I'm Haley Sprinkle. I'm from Brit and Co. And I'm so excited to meet you today. How are you doing?
Right,
Doing
you have a
great. Nice to meet
name.
you.
Oh
Yeah, you do have a great name.
my gosh, what's so funny is I chatted with Maisie Williams recently for the new look, and she said the same thing, which I
A
feel
good
like,
name.
thank you.
True.
I'm so excited about this show. Obviously, as a journalist, it speaks to like the core of who I am and what I'm excited about. And I was just curious, you both play these really passionate, driven journalists on the show. Who, if you did you take inspiration from for each of your respective roles?
I think what's so cool and interesting about Amy, our showrunner and creator of the show, whose chapter in a book inspired it, is that she had built so many relationships with so many kinds of other journalists and politicians that our characters feel like sort of an amalgam of lots of people. And so I don't know that there's like one specific person for any of us that we sort of took inspiration from. But what was exciting was that especially for my character, who is a conservative journalist, is that I found myself watching some Fox News in ways that I had not before, and then watching CNN and watching, because I was really interested less in the sort of political ideologies of these journalists, but more in like the practical day to day of how do they actually the mechanics of this job work, and how do you build a career in it. And I was going back and looking at people like, oh, before they did this, they were this, and they were a field reporter before they were in the White House court, and so that was really interesting to me to sort of watch the trajectory of their careers. But there were lots of folks.
Yeah, I feel too. I think that because Amy painted this world so specifically and it was from actual experience, I think there's a really interesting transition when you go from life into fiction. And so I think in a strange way, what was really I think we steeped ourselves in books and certain things that Amy had suggested and that were all very helpful. But ultimately, it became much more than about going. You mentioned that as a journalist, you're incredibly passionate, and I think that this does center around for women who are incredibly passionate about what they do. And so for me too, it was sort of looking at where when Grace started, how old she would have been during what year, what laws were passed around then, what were the things that she came up with that have changed since then. And I was more interested in kind of that, like what got her here. So that was a lot of the focus. And certainly I also looked at many different people, but I think that was what felt to do an imitation of any one person in real life felt in a way where we've made this world anyway that's a fictitious world with a lot of truths in it, is like what I love about storytelling is that you can tell the truth through a slightly heightened elements as opposed to some sort of imitation of somebody.
Absolutely. And I think something that's very interesting about both of your characters, particularly, is with that passion for their careers, they really come up against a lot of barriers. And so it really made me think, do you think that women can have it all? And what does that even mean to you?
I think anyone can have anything, right? Sure, you can have it all. You can't have everything well, though. You can't have everything firing on all cylinders at once. Um, and what is it all? I think that the idea that there is some sort of all to be had is already flawed, in that you can do what you can do within the constraints of the society and the family and the income and the education limits that you have. And then once you get it, what do you do with it? How does it feel? I think the answer is different for everyone. So I think the premise is flawed. The idea that we even want it all. I don't think that we were built to want the same things. I don't think we were built to do the same things. And so my prayer and hope is that you can have all that you want. And also in knowing that you won't have it all going well at the same time. And that's okay too. No one does. So there's nothing to strive for.
Yeah, it is interesting, these notions that we have that we never questioned, that just kind of came out down generationally and like have it all. Or even when you think about something, an example of like before any of us, but like the nuclear family was considered the pinnacle of what the good family is or the right kind of family or And as we've seen, that's been absolutely dismantled, because why was one random model chosen as the one, And and so some of it's just wonderful to see wash away that way. But the other day I said to my husband, I said, I'm just so behind on everything. I just can't catch up. And he said, I think that's going to happen when you're dead. Like there's no catching up. And, you will never be caught up. So this is a worry that will not help you. And so I think that that's kind of the answer to that question for me, which is like, why do I, who set the barrier of like, what am I behind on? Exactly. It's sort of, so yeah. Those are interesting questions, and I like that the show asks them and doesn't really answer them, by the way, but just asks them, because that's what we're all dealing with.
I love that so much. You guys both gave such astute answers, and I really appreciate your time today. So thank you so much, and good luck with the rest of your interviews.
Thank you, Haley.
For your questions.
Have a good one. Bye, y'all.